All right, it's getting towards the business stage of the year, and finals for the women's Divi 3 to 6 get underway this week. So yeah, it's all happening, and it's an exciting time of the year for everyone involved in footy. So let's get underway. We've got a couple of milestones happening this weekend. A couple of field umpires doing their 50th game. Reese Cosned and Jamie Thomas. And we've got 200 games for one of my twins. So I'm super proud. Cody Rowson's doing his 200th. And for those of you wondering how the hell he's been able to get 200 up, he did start goal umpiring when he was about 11, I think he was. So got a few years of goal umpiring with Adelaide Footy League before he went to the Sample. And of course, the last couple of years he's done field umpiring. So well done to my Cody, who's hitting a milestone this week. And his brother's, I think, one game behind him. So you'll hear his name next week. All right, as I mentioned, women's finals begin this week for Divi's 3 to 6. So it means less games. Those of you that like doing 2 games, there may only be one for you this week. There are a small number of umpires that are finishing up or did their last game last weekend. They're generally the umpires that have been umpiring women's and they're doing their first year with us. We'll try and get some finals for you, most of you to umpire. We'll see how we go. But of course, as I said before, you'll all be notified before appointments come out if you are in that boat. So I've already made a couple of phone calls to a couple of young umpires. They've done really well, but they've done their last game with us on the field in the field this year. Now, normally I ask you all to show up 45 minutes before the start of the game. I'll make that, as I have in other years, 1 hour before the start of the game for finals. We just want you all to be there with plenty of time, so there's no wondering where everyone is, that you're all well prepared. Obviously, field umpires go meet the coaches, get everything set up, but it's just so we're not in a rush. And if you are going to have problems getting there that early, make sure you notify one of the other umpires. And if you haven't got their contact details, you notify either Peter, Angel, or myself. Quick note about the even up rule in finals. There is no even up rule in finals. If one side can't play the full complement of players, then the opposition does not need to play with the same amount of players. They can play their full complement. If you happen to have a final where the scores are tied, it's worth knowing what the rules are in that scenario. But we'll be putting it on the website. So if you can't remember all the bits and pieces, you can always get someone to check it out at the end of a drawn game. But it's fairly simple. We did have a final a couple of years ago where it was tied twice. So it was tied, then they did play the extra time and it was tied again. So all that's written in the rules for tie games. So make sure you have a look at that document. It's on the website now if you want to download that and have a look. And with the email that goes out, the coaching notes after this Zoom, I've got another quiz. So our second one for the year, and we'll talk through that next Monday night on the Zoom. So keep an eye out for that one. All right, that's all my notes. Anyone got any questions that they want to ask now before we move on to the coaching video?
Hey, yeah, Colin, it's Alison. Can you hear me?
Sure, far away.
Yeah, just a quick one. In the event that there's an injury, I just wanted if you could just clarify. A player goes down, and obviously, especially if it's a tight game, and in terms of what the timekeepers do, we as umpires, we don't direct the timekeepers, do we? That's up to them to communicate with each other and decide whether they call time off.
Yeah, so you're talking about in a game where there's normally no time on added?
Oh, yeah, 100%, yeah.
Yeah. So we signal time on, and it's up to either timekeeper. So the idea is for any game, and particularly a final, there should be one timekeeper from each club sitting together. And the rule is that either of the timekeepers can stop the clock if they want to, due to a significant delay in play. We don't have to direct them other than signal time on the field. And if neither timekeeper stops the clock, then so be it. And then if one club has an issue with that, then the finger will be pointed back at the club to say, well, why didn't your timekeeper stop the clock? So they can stop the clock. I think it may have even happened recently in a women's game. I understand a Division 3 game where the result determined who made the finals and who didn't. And a player went down and the time didn't stop, and it's not the umpire's fault that it didn't. At the end of the day, neither timekeeper stopped the clock, and the time kept ticking down. So does that answer your question, Ellie?
I think so, but what happens if one timekeeper, say from the opposition, or unless they're playing at a neutral ground, I guess, but say one timekeeper stops it and then the other one doesn't, then...
So they're sitting together using the same...
Oh, I'm with you.
Same clock.
Okay, sorry.
That
makes sense.
It is meant to be every game that one timekeeper from each club sit together. Of course, that doesn't always occur, and quite often it's just one club that has the timekeeper.
Yeah.
But if there's any timekeeping issues in that scenario, the question will be put from the league, why weren't they sitting together? And that's up to the clubs to be organised. We don't need to run around before a final or any other game and worry about that. That's up to the clubs to organise. So really, by us not getting involved, other than signalling time on from the, just putting your hands up and blowing a whistle, by us not getting involved, like there's no complaints about what the umpires have done. It's really comes back to the clubs to go organised. It used to be that in games where there's no time on, a player could potentially fake an injury and run the clock down, and that's why the rule was changed to put this in place. And so, there has been history in the past of that happening, and therefore this procedure's been put in play. Does that all make sense?
Thank you. That's great. Thanks, Colin.
Okay. Mr. Lewis.
Yeah, I'll do the first one if you like.
Oh, you're looking for the video already?
When you start, yeah.
Oh, geez, you're keen. All right. Okay, you're prepared today. Well, how can I say no to that? Anyone else got anything to ask or add before we get started on the video? We have to give Barry the chance to come in first. All right, no, we'll get on to the video then, mate. Just bear with me. All right. Barry, all yours. Tell us what you think for number one decision. And the pressure's on you, seeing as you put your hand up for
it. Yep. Okay, so ball's kicked in. Are you watching this while it's going, are you? Ball's kicked in. Player from, is that Prince Alfred perhaps? No, it's not.
I think it's Adelaide Lutheran versus Houghton from...
Oh, that's Houghton, yeah. Well, the Houghton bloke got the ball, ran on, didn't sense that the Lutheran player was behind him, obviously. He took 2.5 steps, I see, at least, was tackled correctly, got a kick to it after it bounced on the ground, but he was holding the ball because he'd taken a couple of steps and hadn't legally disposed of the ball. So that's holding the ball. However, there's one point I wanted to make.
Sure.
Mightn't be a bad point to raise for the umpires. When you go in to put a player on the mark, stand 1 step to the rear and 1 step to the side. Do not stand in front of the player who's on the mark. Because if he runs through you, you're down. you've interfered with the game, you've stuffed things up. So the umpires should have there been one step to the rear and one step to the side.
No, very good. Good point there at the finish. Absolutely. And yes, holding the ball. So in this scenario, we used to talk about number of steps, etc. It's more about whether they've had a chance to handle or kick, whether it's per opportunity. So yeah, the fact he's had 2.5 steps means he's had a chance to handle or kick. So that's his prior opportunity. And so what we're looking for when he's tackled there is a legal kick or handball immediately. And he sort of gets a kick away, but it's like a drop kick. So the moment you see the ball hit the ground, that is done. That's not a legal kick. If it was, he sort of dribbled off his foot, that's not really a clear disposal either. So definitely holding the ball. Yes, the set kick control. Yes, he's in the way right there. So yeah, it's not the place he wants to be. Is right in the way of the. You don't need to mark the ground. There's no need for you to put your foot and mark the ground. You're just getting in the way of the player. So 100% right there, Barry. It needs to be 1 meter out, 1 meter back. Other than that, the umpire got the decision right.
Barry,
Marek?
how many meters behind does Barry normally stand?
I reckon about 1 meter out, 1 meter back, isn't he? Now, Marek, because you're being a smart ass here, you can have the second one.
Go for it.
All right, far away. I think this is an interesting one. Yes. All right, what'd you make of that?
Oh, I didn't think there was too much interesting about it, to be honest. I thought it was pretty cut and dry. The bloke was on the ground. He took the footy, dragged it in, didn't get it out. The bloke came in a little bit clumsily, but didn't get him high, so holding the ball.
Yeah. Yeah, so yes, absolutely happy with holding the ball there. All I'd say to that is it does come in and looking like he could get him high. And so if you are if you're not quite sure whether he's got him high or not, I wouldn't have a problem with 50-50 protecting the ball player and paying a high tackle. But if you've got a clear vision and he hasn't got him high, then yes, he's dived on the ball, then tackled, doesn't get the ball out. So holding the ball, totally happy with holding the ball. I'm just not every scenario is going to be exactly the same. And if you see someone come in quite, as you said, clumsily or vigorously, and it looks like you could have got him high, then I also wouldn't be bothered by you paying a high tackle. It's a bit each way, but I guess the bit I found interesting was just the way he came in. And, if you've got a good angle on it and you can see clearly that he hasn't got him high, that's really good umpiring. You've got a really good angle on it. And then you make the call after that. All right.
Yep.
Okay. I'm just looking down and seeing if I can find someone I don't normally ask. A few people that don't want to have their cameras on, which is fine. I haven't asked Rob Kane for a while. Rob, you want to unmute yourself?
Yeah, sure thing. How you going?
Yeah, good. Is that the club in the background, is it?
Yeah, I was watching Bluey, so sorry about
that. Oh, good. You got the next one.
All right, so the blue team there, I don't know, is that Fitzroy, is it? Or
yep.
It's clearly going to be his ball because it's last possession. However, he actually shepherds the ball over the line and prevents the other player from getting to it. So correct call there in terms of ball it in.
Yep, spot on. Different scenario if he didn't shepherd. If he's running towards it and there's no other player near him and he allows the ball to go out, that would be a free kick for last possession. But he actually stops the I think it's a Trinity player from touching the ball by shepherding. So yes, throw-in. All right, thanks, Rob. All right, we'll let them roll. It's our last coaching video for the year. So some messages you'll probably recognise, repeating some of the key things, but holding the whistle and let the play unfold. Especially when it comes to holding the ball, drags that ball in, doesn't get it out, legally tackled. Good, strong hold on the ball. Some of these examples, including that one, the umpires just nail when to blow the whistle. You don't blow it too soon and you don't let it go too far. Dennis probably gets a little bit close to the pack here, but other than that, it's really good umpiring. Just lets it go. There's nothing obvious until the end where the player who's just diving on the ball in the end doesn't get the ball out. So a good, strong hold the ball, gets in there to make sure the play can get underway. If you're watching this and you see the commentary, one of the spectators not too happy, but again, players on the ground, takes the ball underneath him, forces the ball up, and perfectly timed holding the ball, and yeah, it gets called a cheat by someone in the spectator in the crowd. But there you go. So you see this quite a bit in AFL where a player is tackled by one arm. It's almost a perfect tackle. When that occurs, the player needs to make an attempt to kick it. He can't really handball because he's got one arm pinned. But if he just chooses to hold on to it and wait for the ball up, give him a moment and then penalise, as he's done there. So is there a prior opportunity? If there's not, is there a genuine attempt? And if there's no prior opportunity and a genuine attempt, as it is in this case, so no prior, immediately tackled, he's trying to get it out. Everyone's asking to hold the ball, but that's a scenario where a ball up is absolutely fine. It's nothing that the player could have done there to, I guess, stop the stalemate. So multiple hands on the ball. You can't penalise any one player here. They're both on the ground. They're both grabbing hold of the ball. At the end of the day, that just has to be thrown up. So yes, while we like to clear the packs and use holding the ball to do that at times, there are other scenarios. It's probably pushing it back in the end there. If they want to play footy, let them. These are the type of plays where you don't need to get involved. If there's nothing obvious and blatant, there's a few arms that go up looking for frees. He had the ball and it was legally tackled, then let go. At the end of the day, that's just good umpiring to react to what happened. It's not the best standard of footy, but well umpired. So similarly here, nothing obvious and blatant. Had the ball, then dropped it. The player let him go at the right time. Lots of arms in the air, but again, nothing obvious and blatant. Just good umpiring to let him go. At the same time, you can't let it go all the time. You've got to protect the ball player, and when they're obvious and blatant ball player free kicks, you need to make sure you're on the lookout for those. So he just gets taken high there. Player first, the ball's protected. Good free kick. And make sure you're in a good position to see those type of frees. And if it's a 50-50 call when you're on the side of the ball player, no one should be complaining. So here, that's where the tackle does hold. He has no idea that the player doesn't have the ball and just throws him to ground without the ball. So a good ball player free kick in that example. And expecting the unexpected. So these ones can catch you off guard where you end up, it's a high fend off. The player with the ball is the player that you are playing the free kick against, just puts his arm out and pops the player high. And so it does happen every now and again, and you've got to be ready to penalise that. So good umpiring there from Goodsy. And last lesson from these coaching sessions, work hard to be 20-25 metres from the ball. and only pay the obvious and blatant free kicks. You've heard all that before, but it's just reinforcing those messages. So any questions or comments from any of that or anything else? And I made all these videos 2 years ago, and I've got good use out of them for 2 years. I've now got to get to work over the summer and make a whole bunch more for next year. But I think it's certainly better than having the sample umpiring videos. Seeing ourselves umpire is a good thing. So we'll get to work and make that happen for next year as well. All right. Anything else before we wind up? No, Andre?
So that's it, Cole. Last coaching video.
Well, last coaching video, we've got the quiz next week. And I'm going to work on getting a couple of AFL umpires to finish the year out like I do. So we'll have 3 more Zoom meetings after this week. Yeah, so all coming to a close and winding up as exciting time of the year.
Cole,
Yeah, mate.
just the Palmy night this Wednesday night for the.
Oh, thank you for reminding me. Yes, I'll add that to the email that goes out. Yeah, so the Snitty with Smitty night. I don't know if Smitty will be there, but the name is the night is named in his honour. So yeah, good reminder. Thanks, Ian. All right, let's wind up. Thank you very much.